Greetings to everyone. In our last session, we had an insightful discussion on the types of cases and the concept of jurisdiction in the legal system. Today, let's take our understanding a step further by exploring some of the most essential aspects of police procedure and police administration. We will discuss what an FIR is, the responsibilities of the police officers, how conflicts are resolved within the department and with the public, and finally, the specific functions performed by the higher ranking officers as well as junior officers in police department. This knowledge will help us better understanding of how law enforcement operates on a daily basis and how each role contributes to maintaining law and order in our society. Now let's talk about something very important for every citizen in our society. That is registration of crime and the first information report. That is FIR. We commonly call it as FIR. Police are the most visible face of the government. The ones we see every day, not behind desks or in distant offices, but right here among us, among the people. When there is an emergency, when fear spikes in our society, when confusion spreads in our areas, who do we turn to first? It is the police. In moments of distress, be it a theft, a fight, an accident, or a missing child, people don't search for ministers or bureaucrats. They look for the nearest police station or a uniformed officer. Because deep down we know the police are our first responders and our frontline protectors. They are the. And what do we expect from them? We hope they are friendly. We want them to be quick. We trust them to be dependable. That's a lot to ask. And yet they carry the weight with remarkable strength. Their job is not limited to writing reports or standing guard. The reality is much deeper. A police officer's day, it can begin with a small community dispute and it ends with a dangerous raid to stop criminals. Some tasks may seem simple, others extremely risky, but each one matters, whether it is simple or risky. Each one plays a part in keeping our society peaceful, safe, and just. Now, let's imagine a situation. What if your bike gets stolen, or someone breaks into your house, or worse, someone gets hurt on the road? What is the first thing we do? We go to the police station, right? That's where everything starts. And the first step in bringing justice is to register the crime, filing an FIR. We see the police are the backbone of law and order in our society. They are the first people we think of when something goes wrong. So the police station is the basic and most important unit where crimes are reported and where crimes are recorded. Whether you are a victim or you are a witness or you are just someone who knows what happened, your first contact is with the police station. It is their duty to take immediate action, register the complaint and begin the investigation. If they delay or ignore the complaint, they not only fail in their duty but also face public criticism. Now let's understand different types of offences or different types of crimes. In our law, there are two main types of offences or crimes. They are cognizable offences and non-cognizable offences. Cognizable offences are serious crimes like murder, rape, kidnapping, etc. In these cases, the police can arrest the accused even without permission from the court. On the other hand, non-cognizable offences, they are less serious like minor fights, disobedience to an order, misconduct, public nuisance, defamation, etc. When a cognizable offence happens, and someone gives information to the police, either by telling them directly or by writing. That first piece of information, it becomes the first information report. That's we discussed, that is FIR. This is the beginning of justice. So what exactly is an FIR? It is the first report given to the police about a crime. It can be from a person who saw the crime happen or someone who heard about the crime. The police must record this information and start investigating under the law. It doesn't matter whether the information are complete or not. Even if it is just based on hearsay, or the police should not wait to get the full story. If the information seems serious, they will act. Let me give you an example. Suppose someone hears that a woman has been attacked in a village. Even if this is rumor, the police must go to the spot, find out the truth, and if they confirm the crime, then they should record the FIR and begin investigation. They must never wait for proof like a medical report before recording the FIR in such cases. When a complaint about a non-cognizable offence, if it is received, the police record it in the community service register or non-cognizable register and inform the judicial magistrate about that. It is then up to the magistrate to examine the complaint and decide whether to grant permission for an investigation. If permission is granted, the police may begin the investigation, collect evidence, and if necessary, seek further approval to arrest the accused. Now, in today's world, not every complaint comes in person. Sometimes people call the police or send a message through mail or phone. But this kind of information should be handled carefully. The police must go to the spot. They should go to the spot, confirm the details, and then they record the FIR. Only when they are sure the information is true, then only they record the FIR. But this does not mean they can ignore the phone call or message. They must act quickly and they go to the location, they collect proper details, and then they complete these formalities. Then let's say someone calls the police station and says a robbery is happening in their neighborhood. The officer should make a note of this call and rush to the scene to check whether it's right or wrong. If the crime is true, they must immediately start the process of registering the FIR and they start investigating. The responsibility of recording an FIR is usually with the police inspector or sub-inspector. When someone comes with a report, the officer present, they must write it down immediately. After recording, they must go to the scene of the crime as soon as possible. If the officer cannot go personally, he must send another trained officer like an assistant sub-inspector or head constable, and they should mention the reason in the FIR. Then sometimes the officer may hear about a crime while he is out on his duty. Even in that case, he should write down the report, he must sign it, and he should send it to the police station to be entered in the FIR book. While he starts investigating the matter on the spot, then he has to enter it into the FIR. Now let's see filing a complaint at an outpost. Now imagine someone goes to a small police outpost instead of the main station. The officer at the outpost is not allowed to issue the FIR directly, but he will write down. He will write down the basic details in the diary, and then they send the person to the main police station with a note of the time and date. While doing this, the outpost officer, they should also rush to the spot and try to help, like arresting the accused or recovering the stolen items until the main officer arrives. Then every FIR is written in a special register called the FIR book. This is an official record where every serious complaint is entered. It includes crimes like murder, theft, fights, missing animals, and even cases referred by the court. Even if the officer thinks the complaint is fake or exaggerated, it still must be registered. The investigation will later prove if it is true or false. Let me tell you something very important. Once an FIR is written, it cannot be cancelled or it cannot be hidden. Each case will be given a unique number which helps track it in the future. A copy of the FIR is also entered in the police station's diary. When a person given a complaint, the officer will write it down clearly with all the details: who is complaining, what happened, where it happened, who did it, and when they did it. If any important information is missing, the officer should ask and write it at the end of the report and get it signed by the informant. Then if the report is oral, then it must be written exactly in the person's words, not in the legal or difficult language. If there is not enough space on one page, they use another form. The report is written neatly with no cutting or overwriting. If the crime is about theft, then the officer will ask the person to provide a full list of stolen items, their value, their weight, their brand, their design, or anything that can help identify those stolen items. If the person cannot give this immediately, they must be asked to submit it later in writing. But a note will be made in the FIR about this delay. Sometimes people take time before going to the police station. Maybe they were scared. or the victim was far away. In such cases, the officer must ask why the delay happened and they write down the full reason. This helps maintain clarity and transparency. The question is, what if the accuser comes to the police station? Yes, even the person who is being blamed can come and file a complaint. If they bring a written report or give it orally, the police must record it. If the report shows a serious crime has taken place, then it must be registered just like any other FIR. Let's imagine a fight breaks out near the police station and the officer himself sees it happening. Then, in that case, he doesn't need anyone to tell him about that incident. He himself can register the case on his own because he is a witness himself. This is called sumoto registration. Let's see the crimes reported outside the jurisdiction. Then sometimes a crime may be reported at the wrong police station. Maybe the crime happened in another area. Even in that case, the officer must register the FIR, send a copy to the correct police station and start the investigation until the right officers take over the case. Suppose a crime happens near the railway tracks and someone informs the local police instead of the railway police. The local police must act immediately. They begin the investigation and hand it over once the railway police arrive. Now you can see how important and powerful the FIR is. It is the first step towards justice. It gives the victim hope. It brings the police into action. It brings law into motion. Every citizen should know how to file an FIR, and every police officer must know how to record it properly and respectfully. At the heart of it all, the police are entrusted with two great missions: to maintain law and to maintain order. These two missions are made up of countless smaller duties. each requiring courage, each requiring patience, each requiring dedication. That's why the list of police responsibilities is long and challenging, but also are noble and inspiring. Now let's check the journey. Let us explore what it truly means to wear that khaki uniform. And as we do, let's not just understand their duties. Let's honor their services. Let's honor their sacrifices. Let's honor their spirit. Have you ever paused for a moment to think who are the people standing silently between us and chaos? Who are the ones who stay awake while we sleep peacefully at night? It's our police force. The unsung heroes whose responsibilities go far beyond just enforcing the law. Their first and foremost duty is crystal clear: to protect the life, to protect freedom, to protect dignity, and to protect the property of every single individual without bias, without fear, and without favor. Every citizen, whether rich or poor, powerful or powerless, they deserve equal justice, and our police officers, they are interested with this noble task. You see, they are not just standing on the roads with a uniform. They are out there to maintain peace, ensuring that markets are safe, roads are calm, and schools, homes, and workplaces, they stay free from fear. From preventing daily crimes to facing major threats like terrorism or militant activities, the police are constantly on the front lines, defending us from dangers we may never even know about. Think of the bridges you cross, the railway tracks you travel, the crowded buses you walk through. They are all safeguarded by the silent watch of our police. They protect these vital public places from damage, sabotage, or violence. They are often at the risk of their own lives. And when it comes to preventing crime, they don't wait for things to go wrong. They act early, they stay alert, and they coordinate with other agencies to keep our communities safe. They must listen to every complaint, every letter, every email. No voice should go unheard. Every grievance must be recorded, responded to, and acted upon swiftly and sincerely. When serious crime strikes, it is the police who must stand firm. They must register the case, they must investigate it thoroughly, and they must give the complainant a copy of the report, and they must ensure that the criminals are caught and justice is served. It's not just about punishment, it is about restoring faith in the system. But their role doesn't end there. A truly effective police forces builds peace not just through control but through community trust. They encourage dialogue, resolve conflicts, and foster cooperation so that people feel safe, heard, and respected in their neighborhoods. And in times of disaster, be it floods, fire, or earthquake, whatever it may be, or even man-made accidents, who is the first to arrive to the spot? It's our police officers, running not away from danger, but they are running into danger. They help rescue victims, they assist in relief efforts, and they bring order to chaos when the world seems to collapse around us. Their duties are as dynamic as our society. They manage traffic to keep our roads running smoothly. They gather crucial intelligence on crimes and threats to public peace, such as terrorism and extremism. And they act on it with responsibility and precision. Even lost or unclaimed items are safely handled by them until returned or resolved by law. And let's not forget, behind every strong police department, there is a well-trained, well-supported, and highly motivated team. It is also a duty of every officer to lift up their fellow policemen and women to train, mentor, and care for them, because only a united force they can serve society with unwavering strength and dedication. Their job is not just to catch criminals or control traffic. Their role is much greater than that. It begins with something very simple yet very powerful. Every police officer is expected to treat the public with politeness and dignity. And this is even more important when they are dealing with our elders or our women and our children, those who need our care the most. Imagine an old man lost in a busy street, or a woman waiting anxiously outside a hospital after an accident, a child crying in confusion at a bus stop. It is the duty of the police to be their helping hand. Whether someone is poor, sick, mentally challenged, or simply stuck in a helpless moment, the police are expected to step in, not with judgment, but with compassion. And in times of crisis, when communities clash, when political groups collide, when caste tensions arise, who must stand like a pillar of peace and justice at the time? Police. But not with force or bias. They act with fairness, follow human rights, and ensure that the weaker sections are protected with care and dignity. And let us not forget the silent battles many face every day. Women and children facing harassment in public spaces. Here, the police, they will act as guardians, whether it's stopping stalkers, calling out offensive gestures, or ending verbal abuse. They will say loud and clear, this society will not tolerate injustice. And what about the vulnerable women, children, the poor, who are easy targets by exploitation by criminals or gangs? The police must be their shield. Their presence, it must send a message. You are not alone. We are here to protect you. Even in custody, humanity must never be lost. Police must ensure basic needs like food, shelter, they are provided. And more importantly, they must inform people of their legal rights, and they will tell them about the government help that is available. Because even behind bars, justice must live. At the heart of all these responsibilities lies one sacred mission: to protect human rights, to stand with the poor, to stand with the backward, to stand with the weak, and to stand with the downtrodden. Yes, not as rulers, but as servants of the people. Every police officer, they must be a symbol of fairness, a symbol of kindness, a symbol of unwavering and dedication to social justice. So let's walk through the real duties, functions, and jobs of our police force. Not in a boring list, but in a way that shows how deeply they matter in our daily lives. First, let's start with their responsibility. Investigation work. When a crime happens, police don't just appear magically with answers. Their first step is registering the crime properly, no matter who the complainant is. They rush to the crime scene, guard it, pick up even the smallest clues. They pack evidences safely and send it to the forensic labs. They trace witnesses, they question the suspects, they arrest the accused, and they collect every possible proof, whether it's spoken words, documents, or expert opinions. From the streets to the courtrooms, they follow the truth wherever it leads. Their work is like solving a tough puzzle piece by piece without giving up. Then second responsibility is preventing the crime. Many of us sleep peacefully because someone is always on patrol. Our police stand at roadblocks, they check vehicles and they scan crowds. They keep an eye on known troublemakers and they arrest people who might disturb peace. Through intelligence sharing, they stop many crimes before they happen. Think about that. How many crimes are prevented just because police were alert and ready? That's their responsibility. Then third responsibility is crime detection. The police are not just reacting to crimes. They are actively detecting the crimes. Yes, they talk to informers, they gather secret inputs and they tap into community networks. They know how to read patterns, analyze movements and predict who might strike next. They don't wait for crime to knock. They chase it down with skill and smart. And their fourth responsibility is maintaining order. Is when there is a rally or a protest or even a riot, who steps in first? It's the police. They manage crowds, they stop violence, they protect public property, and they make sure no harm comes to common citizen. They push back angry mobs. They hold the lines, and sometimes even they risk their lives to protect people. During EAP visits, festivals, or tense situations, they are always there, standing tall, making sure order is never lost. Then their fifth responsibility is enforcing social laws. Police are not just crime fighters, they are also change makers. They act against child marriages, dowry cases, and civil rights violations. They help enforce laws that protect women, children, and the poor. Many of these social laws are meant to bring fairness in society, and the police are at the front lines, making sure these laws are not just words on paper, but powerful shields for the vulnerable. So, next we'll go to the next responsibility, sixth responsibility, collecting intelligence. Police officers, they are trying to sense tension before it erupts. They keep track of political events, labor strikes, student protests, and even whispers of communal clashes. This intelligence helps prevent disaster. It helps the government to take smart decisions, and it helps society stay calm and informed. Then seventh responsibility, election duties. Elections are the celebration of our democracy. But who ensures they happen peacefully? Is our police. They secure polling booths, they protect voters, and they make sure no one tampers with the process. Their quiet, firm presence, it ensures that democracy remains strong and clean. Their eighth responsibility, disaster management. During floods, during fights, during famines, or during pandemics, when everyone is running to safety, police are running into danger. They rescue people, they protect property, and they arrange shelter, and they guide evacuations. Whether it's a war or communal tension, they remain calm, they remain strong, and they remain committed. Their courage during disasters is nothing short of heroic. Then their ninth responsibility, maintaining police records. Behind every successful investigation lies a well-kept record. Police officers, they handle thousands of files, case reports, arrests, court updates. These documents are not just paper, they are weapons of truth. Good record keeping, it makes the system strong, fair, and fast. Then 10th responsibility, public relations. The police are not just enforcers, They are also ambassadors. They are also ambassadors. Every interaction with the public is a chance to build trust. A kind word, a helpful gesture, a patient ear. These create bonds between the police and the people. They answer distress calls, they help during emergencies, and they build a bridge of respect and support. And let's see the 11th responsibility, helping others, helping other departments. Helping others and helping other departments is whether it's helping during school exams, recovery loans with the revenue department, or clearing encroachments with the municipality. The police are always lending their hand. Their cooperation keeps the government running smoothly, especially in tougher, tense moments. Then, further responsibility, miscellaneous duties. From ceremonial parades to regulating traffic, from catching dacoits to managing road safety, the police wear many hats. They must remain loyal, neutral, and committed, no matter who they serve or where they work. Even in emergencies, during raids, or while chasing anti-social elements, their bravery shines. Then let's see how police officers they play a crucial role in resolving conflicts in our society. We often see police officers at accident sites during protests or solving disputes in neighborhoods. But behind all this visible work, there is a deeper, less talked about responsibility. That is the responsibility of managing and resolving conflicts. In fact, handling different kinds of conflicts is a regular and unavoidable part of police officers' duty. Every day, police officers they face situations where two or more people or even large groups they are in disagreement. These disagreements could be about land, money, family issues, community disputes, or even political and religious matters. The people involved, they often expect the police to come in, take control, and find a solution. That is not always easy. Why? Because in many cases, the police are not dealing with just one side. They are dealing with multiple people, each with their own version of the truth, each demanding justice. Now, imagine a situation. Two neighbors, they are fighting about where the boundary of the property lies. They both approach the police, showing old documents and maps, accusing each other of cheating. In this moment, the police officer becomes more than just a law enforcer. He becomes a mediator, he becomes a listener, he becomes a counselor, and sometimes even a protector. He must remain calm, neutral, and fair. He has to listen to both sides, understand the emotions involved, and he must apply the law correctly and then suggest a solution that brings peace, not more anger. Sometimes the conflicts that police handle are simple misunderstandings that can be cleared up with a few calm words. But other times, the situation is far more serious. When large groups are involved, especially with different religious or political beliefs, small sparks can lead to big fights. In such cases, the police must act wisely. If they ignore the early signs of conflict, the situation may grow out of control. That's why it's very important for police officers to notice the early signs of trouble, such as rising tensions between groups, angry messages on social media, or even rumors in the market, and take timely steps to prevent a bigger problem. It is important to understand what conflict really is. Conflict is not always shouting or fighting. It can start quietly, like a disagreement between two people, a misunderstanding, or even jealousy. Slowly, if not handled well, it can grow into arguments, it can grow into blame games, and it grow into even violence. Conflict is the opposite of peace and cooperation. It happens when people feel their needs, rights, or values are not being respected. These feelings can be personal, social, cultural, political, or even religious. When people feel their space is being invaded or their voice is being ignored, they react. And sometimes they react strongly. This is where the police step in. Another important thing to know is that conflict go through different stages. At first, there may only be a silent tension. People feel something is wrong, but nothing happens on the surface. This is called the hidden stage. If this is ignored, the situation becomes visible. People start speaking out, confronting each other, or forming groups. It becomes harder to control. If still not managed, the conflict continues and becomes stronger. People start to resist any solution, and this becomes the most difficult stage to manage. In some cases, police might have to use force just to bring the situation under control. But after this, if handled well, things start to improve. The tensions reduce, and slowly both sides become ready to talk. Only then, only then can the process of setting the conflict begins. Setting a conflict does not just mean stopping the fight. A good resolution means both sides feel respected. The main problem is solved and peace is restored. The best resolutions are those where no one is forced, no unfair pressure is used, and both sides truly accept the result. Such results are long-lasting and they build trust. But of course, this is an ideal situation. In real life, this is not always possible. Many times, the police have to settle for a solution that is not perfect, but still acceptable and peaceful. That itself is a success. Let me share another example. During a festival in a town, two groups from different communities, they planned their events on the same day in the same place. A conflict began, and the atmosphere became tense. The police were informed. The officer in charge invited leaders from both communities to the police station and sat them down and helped them understand each other's plans. After a few hours of calm discussion, both groups they agreed to adjust their timings. The festival went on peacefully, and the respect for police increased in the eyes of the people. This is what conflict resolution looks like in real life. Quiet, careful, respectful conversations leading to peace. Now, conflict is not just a local issue. It can happen between villages, cities, states, or even countries. But every level, the approach to resolution, it must be the same. Slow, steady, respectful, and planned. A good police officer always keeps in mind the bigger picture. Peace, justice, and public trust. He or she, they know that using force is sometimes needed, but using wisdom is always better. Now let's talk about the functions, roles, and duties of the superior police officers, those who stand as leaders, as guiding lights, and as protectors of law and order across our nation. Let me ask you this. Have you ever wondered how a city remains calm during a festival, or how law and order are restored after a major protest or after a major riot. Behind that calmness, behind that peace, there is a chain of command, a disciplined system, and at the top of that chain, there are the superior police officers. In our police hierarchy, we broadly divide the officers into two groups, junior officers and the superior officers. The junior officers, they do the groundwork, and the superior officers, they guide, supervise, and control. They don't just give orders. They provide vision, they set an example, and they take the responsibility for everything that happens under their watch. Let's begin with the topmost officer in a state, the Director General of Police, or the DGP. You can think of the DGP as the captain of a giant ship that is sailing through the waters of law and order. Every police station, every constable, every patrol team, everything in the state police comes under his control. He advises the government, looks after discipline, he makes rules, and he keeps the entire police machinery working smoothly. For example, if there is a statewide political protest, it is the DGP who plans how the police should respond, where to send forces, how to prevent violence, and how to make sure people's rights are not violated. He is responsible for making decisions that balance public safety with the constitutional rights. Now, let's move to the next level, the Additional Director General of Police, or ADG. These officers, they are like the senior managers of the department. Suppose there is an ADGP in charge of crime investigation and another for law and order. They assist the DCP. And they manage specific departments. If you imagine the police department as a big factory, the ADGPs, they are the ones running individual departments under the CEO, who is the DGP here. They ensure specialization. Handling things like cybercrime, traffic control, intelligence, and more. Now we come to the Inspector Generals of Police, the IGP. These officers are in charge of big zones or divisions, often consisting of several districts. Think of a state divided to north, south, east, and west zones. Each zone might have an IGP in charge. This officer has to regularly inspect the work of his team, maintain discipline, meet the public, and keep watch on serious crimes. Let us take one example. If there is a sudden spike in chain snatching cases in a zone, the IGP will personally study the pattern, guide the district police, and ensure the culprits are caught. The IGP is also expected to visit areas, talk to police officers under training, and ensure they are learning the right things. He is like a senior professor monitoring a group of students learning to become professionals. Below the IGP is the Deputy Inspector General of DIG. The DIG handles what we call a range, a group of districts. In places where an IGP handles the zone, the DIG handles the range. The DIG ensures that all district level officers are working properly, crimes are being investigated well, and officers are behaving responsibly. Suppose there is a corruption case. In one of the districts. The DIG will step in, supervise the inquiry, and guide the officers on how to proceed fairly and quickly. They are also helping major law and order situations like riots or criminal disturbances. Now comes a very important officer, the one who is often the most well known in any district, the Superintendent of Police, SP. You can think of the SP as the heart of policing in every district. The SP is like the principal of a college. He or she makes sure that every police officer in the district is working properly. The SP has a huge responsibility. He must keep the district peaceful, the public satisfied, and the police force disciplined. He must ensure the police stations have working vehicles, enough weapons, proper buildings, and good communication. Let's take a real life situation. Suppose a dacoity happens in a village. The SP personally monitors the investigation, sends out special teams, talks to the victims, and ensures justice is served. But that's not all. The SP is expected to know the district like the back of his hand, its people, its problems, its crime patterns. And he must build good relationship with the public. He must be visible, he must be present, and he should be trustworthy. The public should feel confident that when they go to the police, they will be heard. At the same time, the SP must also keep his officers motivated. He must reward the good ones and discipline the lazy or corrupt ones. He is expected to maintain the honesty and integrity of the force. Then we have the additional SPs. These officers, they assist the SP in their district duties. They might handle a particular division like a crime or operation. They are like the vice principals of a college, doing a lot of tough behind the scenes work to support the principal. They work under the SP's direction and they carry out field inspection, they supervise investigations, and they ensure all police stations are under their care. They are performing well. Last but not least, they are the sub-divisional police officers. These are usually assistant or deputy superintendents of police who are in charge of a subdivision, like a block or a group of mandals in a district. These officers are the bridge between the SP and the ground level officers. They must be alert, they must be quick in decision making and always keep the SP informed. They also deal with the public and they help maintain law and order in their specific subdivision. Now let's take a walk into the world of our junior police officers, the brave souls who are the first to respond, the first to act, and the first to stand between order and chaos in our society. We often see them on the roads, in police stations, or during festivals and emergencies. But have we ever paused to ask what exactly do they do? What are their responsibilities? What kind of life do they live to ensure our safety? Let's start with the inspector of police. He is like the captain of a ship. Imagine a big school with many classrooms. The inspector is like the principal who ensures every teacher is doing their job. Similarly, the inspector checks on every police station in his circle, makes surprise visits, talks to officers, and gives instructions. He travels from village to village, sometimes covering hundreds of kilometers, just to make sure people feel safe and heard. One day, in a small town, a serious theft happened. For example, the local people were scared. The inspector reached the spot quickly, spoke with the people, and took charge of the investigation. He didn't sit in the office and give orders. He went door to door, collected clues, and caught the criminals. This is not a story from a movie. This is what happens in real life every day somewhere in India. The inspector also checks if dangerous weapons are being misused. keeps records clean, supervises festivals and public events, and even he prepares anti-terror plans. Imagine that from managing village level crime to keeping an eye on terrorist activities. One person wearing so many hats. He also submits weekly diaries. Imagine writing down everything you did the whole week, every village you visited, every kilometer you traveled. That's so great. He does this not for awards, not for fame, but because he takes his duty seriously. Now let's move to the station house officer or SHO, usually a sub-inspector. He is the real face of the police for the public. Just like a school teacher is the first contact for a student's learning, the SHO is the first contact when people walk into the police station. He is expected to be polite, helpful, and fair. Not scary, not rude, but human. Imagine a poor man walking into a police station because his bicycle or motorcycle was stolen. He is nervous, he is unsure. The way the SHO talks to him can change his life. If the SHO shows kindness, listens, and takes action, the man walks out with hope. But if he is ignored or insulted, he walks away with fear and distrust. That's why the SHO's attitude reflects the entire police department. The SHO, he doesn't just sit behind a desk. He plans patrols, assigns duties to staff, ensures law and order is maintained, handles crime cases, visits village to village, and he meets people. He collects information about social tensions and he solves local problems. If there is a fight in a village or a rumor spreading or a festival that needs security, he is the first to arrive and the last to leave. Let me share a story. During a big religious festival in a town, two groups started shouting slogans. The SHO sensed trouble. Instead of sending force, he spoke to both groups, calmed them, and made arrangements so both could celebrate peacefully. Not a single stone was thrown that day. That is leadership. The SHO also maintains good relations with the local committees, political groups, student bodies, and even with the villagers. He has to gather intelligence about any suspicious activity, prevent crime before it happens, and track known troublemakers. He doesn't wait for others, he acts. He investigates crimes, visits the crime scenes, coaches witnesses, collects evidence, files charge sheets, and ensures the criminal faces justice. And all this happens by keeping detailed records, sending daily reports to the inspector, and updating his file. Now, let's not forget the assistant sub-inspector or ASI. Yes, we can think of him as the deputy to the SHO. He supports in investigations, handles simple cases, checks records, manages paperwork, and even supervises beat patrols. He also helps with the finance records like cash books, travel bills, and maintains arms and ammunition registers. During the absence of the SHO, the ASI, he ensures that everything runs smoothly, no delays, no confusion. If needed, he even gets an outpost alone, like a branch manager of a bank who runs a rural branch with the full responsibility. Sometimes. And behind all this, we have the head constables and constables, the backbone of the department, head constables and constables. These are the people who on the streets handles the traffic, protect the VIPs, carry out arrests, and even risk their lives in dangerous operations. A head constable is also like a teach it to younger constables. They guide them, they help them understand the drills and train them to do their duties properly. They are in charge of guards, they take up night rounds, they investigate cases, and they also take care of important things like court duties, case documents, and station property. Even they take care of arms and ammunition. Now, let's talk about the constables, the youngest soldiers in the police force, but they are the most visible to the public. The common people don't see DJPs and SPs every day. They see the constables. They are the face of the police. They are the hopes of justice, and that's not a small thing. Constables do 100 things every day. They patrol, they investigate, they assist in arrest, they execute warrants, they protect property, and even they work during natural disasters like floods or earthquakes. In fact, during emergencies, the first person the public sees is on the ground is often a constable.